Told you before the tournament started that the last time Michigan State was a 5 seed, they made the Final Four. They're well on their way. Just have to knock off a number 1 seed along the way. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz. Glad to be with you on the NCAA Tournament Previews presented by Brother Printers and All-in-Ones. It's the 1-5 matchup in the South Regional. And for more, we bring in CBS Sports College Network's Steve Lappas to break it down. And, Steve, when you look at this game, does Michigan State match up as well against Memphis as they did against Pittsburgh?
Well, it's a way different team. I think this Memphis team is much more athletic than this Michigan State team. Obviously, the Michigan State strength is in their perimeter, whereas, and that's also part of where Memphis has their strength. But Memphis also has some pretty athletic big guys that are going to be tough matchups for Michigan State.
And Joey Dorsey, one of those, had a phenomenal game against Mississippi State and a 3-point scare that the Tigers moved on. But another guy who's played very well in this tournament, and one of really only the 2 freshmen that are really left in this tournament that are one of those guys that are being talked about for a top 5 NBA draft pick, that's Derrick Rose. Do you think he'll be able to handle the pressure that Michigan State's backcourt will bring?
I think he can because he's so athletic and so strong. I think really, physically, he outmatches Neitzel, Kalin Lucas. He really is a much more stronger, more athletic kid than those guys. Now, his decision-making needs to continue to improve. But in the last 10 games of the season, he really started to assert himself and feel more empowered, I think, at Memphis, and really had some big, big games, really starting with that Tennessee game about 8-10 games ago, where he really started to take charge and assert himself in the game.
The one thing for Michigan State, Steve, the Spartans, and we talked all year long when we previewed games throughout the season, was that they wouldn't play well when Drew Neitzel didn't play well. Well, in the first game against Temple, he didn't play well. The other guys stepped up. In the game against Pittsburgh, he played well, and other guys still stepped up. Is that the thing that has impressed you the most about Michigan State so far in the tournament?
There's no doubt. If you told me before the Temple game that he was going to score 5 points, I would say, boy, they're probably going to lose the game. But they were able to win because other guys stepped up. And then in the last game, besides Neitzel, Kalin Lucas, and a guy who's kind of going a little bit under the radar that had a huge game for them that they needed in a physical game against Pittsburgh was Goran Suton. He had 13 points and 9 rebounds in that game. He was big. So if they can get a contribution like that out of him against Memphis, that's going to be big because Dorsey and Dozier, when it comes to athleticism and when it comes to being on the offensive glass, they're 2 of the best offensive rebounders in the country, Dorsey and Dozier. So Goran Suton has to play a good game here, and Namick also. Drew Namick has to keep these guys off the glass.
Steve, Tom Izzo's been in this situation before as an underdog in a Sweet 16 game and has gotten his team ready, but that was a much more experienced team. He had a lot of seniors on that 2005 team that went to the Final Four. What should his game plan be against John Calipari's Memphis squad?
It's kind of what John Calipari has seen all year. You got to play slow. If they can get Memphis into a half-court game, because Memphis is a streaky 3-point shooting team, they're capable of going 8 for 19 from 3, and they're capable of going 3 for 17 from 3. I think that's one of their Achilles heels. So I think if Michigan State can get this game in a half-court setting, that would be to their benefit. But John Calipari is so used to having teams do that against him this year, it's not going to faze him. He's played a lot of teams that have tried to slow it up against him and play zone, which Michigan State will not play zone, but play half-court type games, and they still have come out of this well. Understand this about John Calipari. He's won 30 games 3 years in a row. The last time that happened, Adolph Rupp at the University of Kentucky. So this guy, beside Tom, this is a great coaching matchup between Tom Izzo and John Calipari.
Oh, it's absolutely a fantastic coaching matchup, and Calipari is trying to get his Memphis team back to the Elite Eight for a 3rd straight year, and for him, hopefully further to the Final Four for the first time. But you mentioned an Achilles heel. The other has been free throw shooting. They are so bad at it, Steve. Is this the game that catches up to them?
It's a good chance at some point it's going to catch up to him. I know John Calipari's getting tired of the talk because what happens every time it's mentioned, his players read that and it becomes more and more of an issue. And the one thing you don't want with foul shooting, you don't want it to become a mental issue because they get even more difficult to make then. So I couldn't tell you that, but if this team gets through and wins a national championship with the free throw shooting percentage they have, they'll be the first team to shoot under 65 from the free throw line to win a national championship championship since 1985. Only Connecticut in 2004, in those 22 years, has been able to win a championship shooting that poorly from the line.
Sounds like you like Memphis to win this game.
I do like Memphis to win this game. Memphis is very athletic, and understand this, Memphis is a great, and I don't know, people don't talk about it for some reason. They are a tremendous half-court defensive team.
All right, we'll see how it all plays out. CBS College Sports Network. Steve Lappas, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
The two tip it off Friday night, a half hour after the conclusion of Stanford and Texas from Houston, and of course the game on CBS. And for more on this one or any other in the regional semis, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com or the CBS College Sports Network leading up to the game. For Steve Lappas, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care.